about the Norwegian? Please, Dan, please, please.
Come on, dude.
No, you don't. It's not that good a story. I just got... You're not enthusiastic now. Where were you last night?
The story by Samurai Dan is good enough.
I lived like an hour away.
We do self-defense panels all over the country. I'm a huge believer that no means no. And that cosplay is not consent. And one of the first things we teach girls especially is if you're in a situation where you're uncomfortable, where somebody is making you feel awkward or unsafe, don't push that aside and pretend like everything's okay. Say something, even at the risk of being embarrassed. Make noise and get somebody's attention so they'll protect you.
And I'd like to apologize, by the way, for last night.
That was okay, that was me, I wasn't uncomfortable.
Oh, I just knew there was something smooth that I was rubbing so.
Don't knock it, I was on my knees signing a corset. So, the one thing I'm thinking is when I'm telling girls, look, if you're in a situation where somebody's uncomfortable, make some noise and somebody will come rescue you. Never dreaming that it would be me in that situation. Because who's going to make the 6'7", 250-pound martial arts instructor feel uncomfortable? Well, I was new to anime cons. I was naive. We did a convention in Kansas City and this guy came up and he was, please don't take this wrong, will you stand up for me? Stand up.
Yeah, we are.
He was this size. Thank you, you can sit down, that's all I needed. This guy came up to me after a panel and started, he didn't talk, he just came up and stood beside me and started doing this. And he wasn't like rubbing my shoulder, he was...
We all do that for
And
luck.
I'm like, what the hell? And I'm looking going, I need a grown-up, I'm looking for my... You have a safe word, a little cue, because if things are getting awkward, you need to be able to say, okay, somebody needs to come take me back to my room, and my safe word is normally Van Halen. If anybody remembers Van Halen, their first album, Eddie Van Halen had a really iconic guitar solo on that album, and it was called Eruption. So my safe word with my handler is Van Halen, as in get me away from this person before I erupt and tear their arms off. And don't judge me, I have poor impulse control. I'm looking for my handler, they're nowhere to be seen, and this kid's still petting me. And so I'm looking, at the end of the hallway is my wife, who I love dearly and I count on for protection. And she's looking and laughing. And so I found a friend of mine and his girlfriend, and I went and I stood right between them and kind of pushed in there. And instead of stopping the kid, he reached in and put his hand between our shoulders, and now he's rubbing both of us. And Adam's going, what do we do? I said, don't move up. And I'm looking, and I look back down the hallway. My wife is there again, but now she's got 20 people. And they're all laughing. On somebody important, so they ended up kicking him out. And we found out he was an exchange student from Norway, which means Scandinavia is off my list. But for Christmas this year, someone
yeah, he probably thought you were like
mailed
or something.
me a Christmas package with a DVD in it called The Norwegian Ninja. And I no longer speak to them. Right, so that was my creepy, awkward fan moment.
That's hysterical. Let's go, we've been ignoring this side. Let's go to this side, blue shirt fella.
Yes, what is your most embarrassing moment at a con? Like anything you've done at a con?
You mean other than telling the story?
Oh, that we've done at a con. Most embarrassing thing.
DC?
My erotic Western panel. See you again tonight at 8 o'clock.
This is family friendly.
I know.
Most embarrassing moment at a con happened when I let Dan be part of his first uncensored panel in OniCon. So we're down in Texas, and uncensored panels after hours are typically kind of crazy. But the way this panel room is set up, the very front of the room has the stage and the tables and chairs. The only doors are clear at the back behind 600 crazy drunk people. And cosplay had run late where we were performing, so Dan and I had missed the guest dinner. Dan had gone straight to the panel after performing, and I had gone with our guest handler next door to get seafood from Landry's so that we could have dinner. So he's at this panel, and it's basically an uncensored Q&A, and they're asking horrible things, like, where's the weirdest place you've done it while tripping on acid with a midget?
That happened last week.
Drama teacher. Okay, so anyway, the stories are going down the line, getting closer and closer to Dan, who's just going, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I don't have any stories like this. I'm so traumatized. And about the time it's his turn, because he's going, how do I get out of here? I can't do anything. I poke my head in the back, and granted, there's 600 people looking at the stage. I open the door behind them, lean in, see Dan up front, lift up the Landry seafood bag and wave it and smile. He jumps up from the table, knocks his chair over backwards, and goes, oh, I have to go, my wife has crabs. That story has made it all over the country. And like everyone at the beginning, there were 600 people at the panel. 5,000 people knew about it within 10 minutes at this convention. I kid you not. And 4 years later, I pull up to the hotel Thursday night after 19 hours of driving to get there for that last year's convention. Get out of the car, and my guest handler greets me and goes, so how are the crabs doing?
You're famous now.
What?
You're a jerk.
And that's why she beats you with a sword.
I knocked a Japanese drummer unconscious. I didn't mean to. I was trying to get to a panel from an autograph signing, and I was late because it went over, and so we were just terrassing through this door that led to this network of corridors behind all the rooms so we can get there without having to go through the people. And I just opened this heavy door and just, was flying out, and all I heard was whoa-bam! And like 4 Japanese people like this, and I go, oh! And I look, and I met the guy the night before, and he is out cold. Like, I had just slammed the door into his face. And I'm like, oh, come inside, oh! And they're like, and all of his friends are like, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. We got up and he was like kind of dazed and it was weird. And I was like, I'm so sorry. The interpreter was like, he's explaining it. And I was, I'm so sorry. And yeah, you're fine. So the rest of the con, every time I saw these guys in the green room, I tried to like get him a drink or something. Be like, hey, on me, I'm really, really sorry. And he would just take the drink and then point to his forehead. All weekend long, every time I saw him, he'd be like, hey. I've since seen him again at another con, and he was still like, hey! I have none because I let everything hang out at conventions.
He has no shame. He says he has no shame, so there's nothing
It's like heart of my sleeve. I have no filters, and so I never get embarrassed about anything I do. I regret, but I never feel embarrassed. So next question. Let's go. Oh wait, did you have it?
No, concert. So Todd is now taking over the panel. We're off to lunch.
Wait right there.
Come on.
Get back here, get back in that chair. Come on up.
Hey, does this mean we have to stop talking about Todd?
No, Todd can take it. He's right here.
Wait, so you guys are from the auction?
Yeah.
Oh, come on up. come on, have a seat, please. Sorry, I don't have two giant Akitas with me. So, your name again?
Michaela.
Ayla?
Caitlin.
Caitlin?
Olivia.
Olivia?
Lila.
Lila, let's do it again so I remember.
Lila.
Lila? Good.
Olivia.
Olivia?
Caitlin.
Caitlin?
Michaela.
Michaela. You know what? You look like a Holly. I'm gonna call you Holly instead. Very good. Well, thank you guys for being here. You can sit on the couch if you want. If you want to, like, sit on this side. You cool there? I've got Ovaltine in the back. I also have... I hope you guys like taquitos. They're almost ready. Is that cool? Okay, good. Thank you for being here. When did this auction happen?
It ended this afternoon.
Yeah, it was like noon today. I don't know. My dad was doing it because he's smarter than me.
You know, no, you're smart. What's 2 plus 2?
4.
Genius! All right, well, glad you're here. And you get to hang out with these guys. That's fun, isn't it? Yeah. Have you ever been this close to a potato before?
Tatum.
What about you, Holly? Oh, okay. All right.
You say
Very cool.
potato, I say Tatum.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna do this. 5.1 surround corn. Here, Dan, you guys take this one. Okay. Oh, there you go. Yeah. Bam. There we go. Okay, cool. All right, guys. Awesome. Hi. Sorry. Thank you for. Hi. What's up?
We love you, Todd.
Were you about to take a question?
We were. You were in time just to answer most awkward or most embarrassing convention story that's happened to you personally.
Okay. Stateside? Because there's a whole different set of legal laws outside of the... Okay. Let's see, most embarrassing. You know, I would have to go with the first convention I did with two... They travel as a couple, a husband and wife team. And there were a couple, they were on a panel with me, and it was interesting because I was on the end to make room for them, and they've been in the voiceover industry a very, very long time. And so someone would ask a question, and they're asking a question, and then they would ask me a question specifically, but the couple would answer for me. And so there's there's like one video online of them, like you can see me on the side. If you just watch me, you can see me going, and I just doing that multiple times during the panel, and I just let them answer the questions for me. When that's how they would answer the questions. You don't know these people, but if you did know them, that is how one of them carries themselves. And so, but it was that was uncomfortable for me because I hadn't done a convention with them before, and I was like, who the hell are these people? And then after that, that was all good. We're buddies now. But the first time was no good for me. But it's cool now. Yeah. But can I call somebody?
Do you want to? Yeah, pick a question.
Let's see. Oh my gosh. Let's see. You know what? You have such a happy, enthusiastic face when you were raising your right appendage.
Can each of you tell us a story from your childhood?
Any kind of story. Can you pick a genre? Like, do you want action? Do you want romance? Or do you want horror? Horror? What do you want?
Something funny that happened.
Something funny. Unexpected, okay. You've picked unexpected. What do you guys think? Horror unexpected, action unexpected, or romance unexpected? Romance. Okay, we're gonna start with romance unexpected down at this side.
Wait, what? I missed it. I wasn't paying
You're gonna tell a story from your childhood that was unexpected in a romantic way. No paper clips. So,
You're gonna make her start?
yeah.
Don't do that to this audience. This is an Iowa farm girl.
Oh, this will be good.
I'll help you out. I'll jump in and then you think about it. So mine would be, I don't know how
old I am. I guess I'm 7, 8. I'm gonna go with 8. Yeah, or 7. That 8 may be too old. And we're there was a babysitter that we used to have that we were dropped off at her daycare center, but unlicensed and everything, and an abusive woman and all that. But it was. But a lot of kids would be dropped off there, and in the backyard they had what was a miniature house that you kids could walk into, but adults couldn't fit in. Does that make sense? And in there were benches that went. We arranged the benches in there so that they were each 4 walls, so you could get up and walk all around it if you wanted. And they would sit in the center. And there's one day that there were none of the kids except for me and this girl who was really cute. And actually no, there was another kid, but we made him our slave boy. And we were the king and queen, and so we'd sit there, and then we came up with these little symbols this code that we would tap. So if we tapped once, it meant that we would give each other a hug. If we tapped twice, it meant to peck. If we tapped 3 times, it meant to get up, walk all the way around on top of the benches, and when we got back, to fall down on top of each other and kiss. I came up with that. She was a little reluctant on that 3rd one, but I thought it was a great system. But so like we started to play the game, our little slave boy would come in, we'd send him off to go find us a pine cone or something, and then we'd like do one of the things, and like we'd like do a hug or we'd do a kiss or whatever. And then by I think the 3rd or 4th time, I think she got tired of just the little pecks, and because I was being a gentleman, and we sent the slave boy off on another mission, and then she tapped 3 times. That was my unexpected romance. Yeah! Ooh, that's awesome. DC, that's the gun show over there, man. Every time I see you, it's the gun show. Where can I sign up?
Todd's seen these muscles a long time.
Yeah,
they hold no charm.
He and I have a level of comfort where it's just like there's no pre-show. It's like, are we ready for this? And then it's just like
no romance anymore. It's just
yeah, there we go. Stretch your words.
we should have do you have the number for like a 24-hour vet? No? Because these pythons are sick.
Yeah, no, Tatum, last time I saw him, well, 2 times before last time I saw him, he was just beginning this workout thing where he was doing 2 times a day, and like you won't get this reference until you start studying Shakespeare, but he is now a man of wax. And so,
I love you.
But it's very impressive. Did you think of a story?
No romantic childhood stories. I was the nerdy kid that everybody beat up and the boys avoided. So there was nothing.
So violence?
You're paying the world back by beating on me.
Yes.
Well, Dan, do you have an unexpected romance?
Yeah, when I was in 2nd grade, my family moved to a new state, and so I was a new kid in school, and there was this girl, because the first thing you do when you get assigned to a new class is you look at the attractive girls that, for just fantasy's sake.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll talk to me. And I was in 2nd grade, and there was this ridiculously attractive girl that I was just, oh my God. It was awesome. And one day, she wrote me a note. And if anybody remembers a country music song, Sign Yes or Check Yes or No, this girl wrote me a love note. And I'd never spoken to her before. And she handed this note all the way across the classroom. And I'm going, oh my God, my future is assured. And just as I reached out to take the note from the next kid, the teacher walked by, grabbed it, took it up front, and read it to the entire class. Oh. And that girl was so horrified, she never spoke to me again, ever.
That teacher was just jealous.
That is a combination of unexpected romance and horror.
Yes.
Right.
This is my life.
I'm trying to search my databanks for a romantic child. There isn't I'll tell one that happened in my late teens, and it's my coming out to my father story. Again, with you haven't even heard this story. It could be like, my dad was the last person I came out to because my dad's a difficult man to read. I mean, I love the man, he's a good father, but I had no idea what he'd think about having a gay son. Everyone else in my family knew. And no one in my family was terribly surprised either. There's nothing like being, oh my God, I'm so worried. What are they going to think? And they're like, yeah, sweetie, we know. I was a weird kid, so they were all just so happy I wasn't like a serial killer or something. They were like, gay we can handle. Gay is awesome. You be gay. Just stop killing animals. So So I at some point decided to, my mother and I had a long talk about, you really should come out to your father because I'm afraid I'm going to accidentally tell him one day, and that's not how he should find out. And she did accidentally tell my grandfather like the year prior, and that's how he found out. I'm like, let's not go down that road again because that was awkward. So I was really super nervous because I love my dad, but like I said, he's inscrutable. Like it's just impossible to read him, and he's just not very emotional. So I'm like, this could go really well or really terribly. So I'm like, Dad, let's go out to dinner to like your favorite Mexican food restaurant. My treat. Dad's like, why?
And then he's like, no, let's go to that new Magic Mike restaurant. If that's where you want to go, Dad.
Let's go to the Bears or Chippendale. Anyway, so we go out to eat, and I have, mind you, it's like I've had a week to plan for this. So I have stood many hours in front of the mirror at home, practicing, rehearsing my monologue to my father about father. We all have masks, and sometimes we think we know ourselves, whatever. So I start launching into this thing, just sweating bullets. I'm just absolutely terrified. And my dad's like, let me stop you. Can we enjoy our dinner first and then have whatever this talk is? Because I'm sensing it's going to be a big deal. I'm like, God. So I start, I'm choking down food, and my dad's over there, enchiladas, just packing away everything because I'm buying. He's like, all right, more enchiladas, just keeps on. So then we finish, and Dad's like picking his teeth, and he's like, all right, out with it. What's going on? Hang on, are you in trouble with the law? No. Have you gotten somebody pregnant? No. Are you on drugs? Are you hooked? Are you something? And like, no. And my dad then, instead of letting me talk, starts reading off this laundry list of the worst conceivable things it could be. Up to and including, what, have you pissed off an evil wizard? What's going on? So I'm finally so mad that he won't let me talk. I'm like, no, okay, will you just let me come out with it? And Dad's like, this isn't about you being gay, is it? Because I know. To which I'm like, I have never been simultaneously more relieved and more pissed off in my entire life. On one side of me is like, oh, thank God. And the other's like, that son of a bitch. Let me sweat through this entire meal. It cost me like $40. And now he's like, hey, and I'm like, what? How do you? Yeah, I've known for you. How do you know? How did you know? Is it just something about me? He's like, yeah. I go on and he starts thinking, well, this, that, and the other. And that was that one time when you were like 15, and I saw you making out on the couch with that fella from the soccer team, and I'm like, you saw that? He's like, yeah, you didn't see me. I walked in, and there you were, and I'm like, not having this conversation today. Back to bed I go. And I'm sitting there like, why the hell didn't you say anything? He's like, hey, my son was getting some. I didn't want to cramp your stomach. My dad, ladies and gentlemen, my pop.
Why did he ask if you got someone pregnant?
He was being a dick. He's good at that. Family friendly. Hey, all kinds of families.
Did you at least get your $40 back for the refund?
No, but I mean, I did get a doggy bag at carryout.
Yeah.
It's something.
Well, that's, man. I'm sitting here and I was going to use this time to think of my story, but I'm listening and I like everybody's story. So it was unexpected romantic tale. Well, unexpected romantic tale, okay, all right. So I was in middle school and there was this girl named Jennifer Sandoval.
It was me.
It's like, you're the tallest girl I've ever seen.
Oh my God.
Does this look familiar? No. So Jennifer Sandoval. So I had this crush on her, and she treated me horribly all year. But that's the type of thing is like, because I feel like guys are raised to put women on pedestals and like, you know, we honor them and such. And so girls are taught, generally speaking, that you're a princess, that you don't take, you know, you accept nothing less than this type of guy, and you need to, like, we want you to be happy, but the guy you pick, I want them to make you this and this and this and this and this. And so I thought that this was just how girls were supposed to behave. They're supposed to treat you like, you know, some, you know, ectoplasm on the bottom of your shoe. You know? And so she treated me, but I had this crush on her all school year, all year. You know, this is we're having classes with each other, and so like, you know, but she's just that kind of nice where she makes you think like, oh well, she kind of likes me. But it was that thing where, you know, I'm sure you ladies experience this. If you even smile at a guy just to be nice, the guy's like, I'm in. You know what I mean? That's what I thought. So then at the end of the year, we get our yearbooks, and you know how they have those yearbook parties where like towards the end of school, the last like hour or so, you go around and you get signatures, right? Did you do that? What grade are you in?
7th.
No. 8th grade? This happened in 8th grade. Do you have to wear uniforms to school?
No.
I did. And actually, side note, I had a uniform, I kept it, and when I was in college, because I was a big kid, I was a fat kid, and I kept my uniform, and when I was in college, I had lost weight, so I put the uniform back on and it fit, and I went back to my middle school. And I just walked in like I was supposed to go there. Now keep in mind, I hadn't been back to this school in years, many, many years. And I'm just sitting I'm sitting on the bench just when the school bell's ringing, and all the kids are going back to their classes, not me. Because I'm purposefully sitting there like, because I don't go there. Well, the principal comes out, who doesn't remember me. But she goes, young man, you better get to class. And I'm like, no, I don't have to go to class. And she's like, what's your name? And I go, Miss, I forget what her name is, Miss Rumpelstiltskin, don't you remember me? And she goes, who are you? And so I told her who I was, and she goes, who's your homeroom teacher? And I go, I'm in college. And she goes, you gotta go. And she kicked me out, but the uniform still fit, was what was cool. Like it totally still fit. Anyway, so at the end of the year, we're getting the yearbook signed, and I go up to Jennifer, and I saved her signature for last. She was the last signature I wanted to get because I had a crush, and I wanted to give her my heart and have her put it in her heart box instead of crushing it, which is what she did. So what she did was she opened it, but it's romantic because it's the most she ever wrote to me, ever. That's the romantic part. The unexpected part was what she wrote, and I still have it. So what she did is she wrote on this page, she goes, Dear Todd, you're an okay friend, I guess. I just wish you weren't so annoying. That's what she decided to write on my yearbook. And so then, flash forward years later, it's like about 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, she contacts me on Facebook. And she goes, hey, I don't know if you remember me, and I was like, oh, I remember you. And she's like, so, how's life? What's up? How's life? She's not just contacting me out of the blue. So, she's trying to see if I remember, if I remember how things went down. And I wrote back, I go, not gonna happen. And I sent it, and I didn't hear back from her. Revenge!
That was a sweeping story. Even a little interlude with you in your uniform.
I'm actually creeped out by the uniform part, so...
It totally still fit.
That's creepy.
It's a little creepy. It's a little creepy.
Well, I was a big boy. I was big.
Oh, you lost my friend. And then silence.
In silence.
Oh, it was. My dad used to grab my son and go, how's the Dunlop doing today? Dunlop's is a kind of tire. And he would grab it and grip it. Yeah.
Okay, now, and if that's with the costume, it's again very creepy.
Okay, you with the glasses, you're Levi, right? It's okay, yeah. You go on.
Okay. What is the most awkward or weird questions that you've ever been asked at a panel?
Can I have your babies?
Well, there's just not time for that in a panel. I mean, you can maybe do one baby, but
maybe you can, but
I come prepared for cons, so I give them babies.
Yeah. You just have them, they're already vacuum sealed. You just take it out.
It's not really my area of expertise. I'm gonna need some preparation.
What about you? What's the most awkward question you've had, DC?
Oh, you know, sorry, this isn't. I don't have a prepackaged response for this one, so actually, like all of them. Actually, the most embarrassing would probably be when I first started doing cons. I wasn't quite sure traveling to different parts of the country where everyone's got slightly different political bents, and somebody brought up Freedom Works and Geico. And I'd gotten in trouble with them, and not with the. I got in trouble with Fox News people essentially, and it was in a place where I didn't know if I could go into the story or not because I didn't know if they would lynch me afterwards. So I'm not gonna go into it. I'm sorry. You can look it up. TeaPartyPSA.com. It's a very long, involved story. I end up on Geraldo, so I'll leave it at that. I'm sorry, no laughs on that one.
What about you, Dan?
Because you gave them homework.
And most of the people here.
I think the most awkward question I was ever asked at a convention, and strangely enough, this happens at lots of conventions for us doing self-defense stuff. I have people ask me, have you ever killed someone? Like, yes, they let me out of prison to be here. What room are you staying in?
What about?
Let's see. I had someone ask me to marry them. I told them, you know.
That was a guitar player for iShine.
That's true. I'm like,
Paula.
I'm married. He goes, how long have you been married? And this was a couple years ago. He goes, 10 years. Oh, it's not serious. Marry me.
Yeah, Paula, he's always on the lookout.
Polo's looking for that green card.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess most awkward question was, totally didn't remember it till right now. It's kind of like when Wolverine gets hit with something, then he remembers like a Weapon X story that happens in the comic books anyway. And so there was this mom that brought her daughter who was 15 or 16, I forget which, but brought the daughter up and we're getting autographs, and the mom was like, man, my daughter has this huge crush on you, and I'm just saying, 2 more years, she's gonna be 18. And so I'm like, well, thank you, good to know. Hello, and I'm talking with her daughters, and then I thought she was kidding, but she's like, seriously, 2 more years if you want to wait. She's gonna be 18 in 2 more years, just saying. And so I go, okay, Mom, well, let's talk dowry. What are we talking? I go, because I'm gonna need at least 5 cows. I'm gonna need a flock of sheep, and I'm gonna need some sort of farmhouse. So if that's not in the dowry, this deal's off. You can see her put the contract away. Okay, but it was very weird. It was very strange because she would come up throughout the con and she'd be like, I'm like, I got it. But even at that point, the daughter's like, Mom, please stop this.
I just find it fascinating that when you think of marriage, you think of farm life. you want animals. Okay.
That's not creepy at all.
Hey, cows are smarter than dogs.
No, you're not leaving.
Can we join the party?
Yes, join, please.
Yeah, they didn't bring the baby.
Our CEO just let us off.
They need these feet, don't they?
Yes, sir.
My question was there any particular moment with a band that made you feel like, I love this job, I love what I'm doing?
Oh, a particular moment where it made you really take stock in what we're doing, and yeah, totally. For me, I was at a convention recently where we're doing a panel, and the girl stood up, and her mom was with her, and she goes, "I just want to thank you because Oron High School Host Club was the show that she was talking about," and she goes, "I just got out of the hospital for trying to end it all." And she goes, what got me through it was watching Oron a lot. And so, and I go, that's so sweet of you to say, but surely, I mean, you had a nice family network and just this small part. No, that can't be it. I mean, your mom, your dad, whatever. And the mom stood up and goes, nope, it was Oron. She was watching Oron on, and that's what got her through, because she was like depressed, and this every episode of Orange, like boo, 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 ba-da-da-da. And so that was very cool. And you get a lot of stories like that where people come up where they come from abuse, or they come from it's a litany of stuff, and they talk, and it's almost hard to believe, because you're like, wow, really? Because when we record it, we're just in a booth by ourselves with the director and engineer, and sometimes we're in a group of actors, but we don't see how it affects people until we come to conventions and talk to them. So that was, for me, was a time when it was like, wow, this is awesome, So.
I have an overall story as well, actually, kind of along similar lines. So I was at a convention a couple of years ago now, and this lovely transgendered girl comes up to me in my line and hands me this letter and says, a couple of kind things. Please read this, on your own time when you have a chance, not in front of me or whatever. And she's very, 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 like, just put together. She's very just poised, everything. I'm like, you're cool. I like you. Sign a bunch of stuff, get a picture with her, and off she goes, as so many of them do. And then I get to my hotel room later, and I read the letter, and she goes on to say that she was transgender, that she had recently become transgendered, and that it was one of the hardest things that she'd ever have to go through in her life, not just physically, but because her family didn't support her. A lot of her friends turned their backs on her because they didn't agree with the decision. She caught a lot of flack, and sadly a lot of transgendered people do. And sadly, she considered, according to the letter, she had considered just ending it all. So during several points during the process, because she was just so lost and so alone. She felt so just everything was just that could possibly go wrong was going wrong. But she said she had come to watch Oron, and it was just her favorite show in the whole world. And she really gravitated toward Kyoya, who was just kind of the character that struck her as like the sensible, the one more rooted in reality, I guess, for her. And she said in so many words that my voice as Kyoya, and this just completely still blows me away to talk about, became her inner voice that kept telling her, no, don't give up, don't do this, keep at it, screw those people, keep doing this. And it was because of that inner voice that she went through it, and that I got to meet her. And it's amazing, because you don't know, for us, like Todd says, when we go in the booth and these great little shows we have fun with, sometimes something you work on, like with Oron, yeah, well, that's a lot of hours of work, but with something else, you may have been in there for 3 hours or 4 hours, and then you forget about it until someone brings it up, and you're like, oh, that's right, I was in that show. But you never know how something you're going to do is going to go out in the world and touch someone who you may never even meet. And it's just that is when it all just came to me, and I'm like, I love what I do because it gives me the chance to just reach out and say to people, hey, it's going to be okay, we're all in this together. And like in some weird way, it gives me a chance to just, like I can run into someone in the hallway who's here, maybe having a crappy day, and I can just smile at them, and suddenly they're like, their spirits are lifted a little bit. I mean, that's a great position to be in, where you can just make someone else's day by just being just a nice gesture. How many of us get to do that? That's amazing. And so that's puts it all in perspective. If I'm ever having a bad day in the booth, and I just can't find my way into the script or the role I'm playing, which is relatively rare, thankfully, but I still have to remember, someone out there, this could mean a lot to somebody, so I'm gonna give this my all. If I can't make this work, it's a failure of my own imagination, and I owe it to that person out there that I don't know to do this. So
I also want to throw onto that, though, that even though we get imbued with that power, if that's even the proper word, imbued, but it's given to us. Because of the fact that we happen to be hired in a voice actor, and we're like the most immediate thing that you can then connect to. But everybody has that power to help somebody else that you don't know, just by smiling at a stranger. Even when you're at the Starbucks, and just be nice to the cashier, even if she's had a crappy day. Again, it's that old '60s thing that seems we've kind of like forgotten. But it's be the thing you want to see in the world. So if you want to see peace and love in the world, be peace and love to everyone around you, even when they're not giving it back to you. My story on this is, and I don't want to bring it down, but it's kind of a serious thing. This is a very common thing that everyone's talking about, where I'm surprised, even like a role of Albert Wesker, like how he could be inspirational to somebody. I couldn't get that. I mean, he's the anti-hero. But I can now, lately I've understood that it's just an empowerment thing for them, especially when they're going through illnesses. You get a lot of those things. communications about it. But I do want to say there was Elizabeth Stevenson was a fan of mine. She was probably the first fan that I ever was aware of. She contacted me on my private Facebook page. I didn't even have a fan page then, and would like post things on IMDb for me and stuff. And it was kind of remarkable, and that I always kind of would like see her through Twitter or whatever through the years, and it's like I always remembered her as being one of my first fan. And finally, I was up at SacCon, and she lived in Sacramento, and her sister came to the con and said, "Listen, would you go?" She couldn't come to the con, but she's always wanted to meet you. And I'm like, "Oh, this is like my first fan. I have to go see her." I go, "But don't tell her. I'm going to see if I got time off from the con. I will drive over to her work, which was like only a couple miles away." And so I did. I walked into this. It was like an Office Depot or something, and she was working and had her little earpiece on, and she's working. And I just walk right up, and she looks up and freaks the shit out. It was so wonderful. Took pictures together. I gave her a signed thing. Gave her several long hugs and all that. And it was and she seemed like a wonderful, happy person when I met her. And she seemed like a happy person online. She was also a cosplayer and whatnot. And I guess it was about a year ago or less. All of a sudden, her sister sent me a message through Facebook that she had committed suicide. And it was kind of a shock. I'm sure I don't mean to bring this down, but I think it's also always good for people to be aware of this stuff, because no one was really sure what was going on in her life, and obviously I'm just a stranger really to her, but the online world wasn't aware because she didn't necessarily put it all out there, thank God there's so many more happy stories than these sad stories. But the thing is she didn't obviously. She felt she had to do it, but she didn't have to do it, because there is a whole community online with you guys through the DeviantArt and all of the cosplaying communities that you're a part of. And the thing is, there's a support group out there for you if you're ever in that place. Yes, we're voice actors, and if you meet us at a con, it makes you really happy. Or if we respond to you online, it may make you happy. But a lot of times we're busy because we get so many, and we're also trying to make a living. We may not respond. But you've got other people that are in that community that can respond and be there for you. So if you know a friend is going through that stuff, reach out to them and let your other friends know to reach out to them. And if you're going through that stuff, reach out to the community, because it is there for you. And that's what's so beautiful about these conventions and what you guys do. And that's the biggest part of why I like coming here is just seeing the fact that there's so much love and acceptance at these things. And so I'm honored that you guys are happy that we smile back at you. But I'm honored that you guys even want us to be here. So anyway, that's my speech.
That's deep stuff. No, it's good stuff, but it's so true. Like these guys said, it is, we're working in this solitary little booth, and the joy of it is to get out here and see you and meet you. And I totally agree. When you're in the hallway and you see one cosplayer telling another cosplayer, "You look fantastic," everyone just is so supportive at these things. I remember the first one I got to, it's like everybody says yes. Everybody says, it's this big support group of "you're awesome, you're awesome," and you feel that energy when you come to these things. And it is an honor for us to be a part of it. It's an honor for us to be a part of these shows that you guys love. And when you tell us that you appreciate what we do, that means the world to us. And people take the time to make things. That always blows my mind. All you artists out there and the gifts that you give, it's really incredible. A story that comes to mind for me, a very personal moment with a fan, was through a painting. And I had only been to a few conventions, so it was very new to me to be given things that people made for us. And I remember being shocked that we were signing things, signatures and things. And this young man came with this beautiful painting. It looked like a Jackson Pollock, very splattery and modern and cool. And he had heard our music and had heard a song that particularly touched him. And he told us that he had been dealing with anxiety issues, which that could be a serious thing that can lead to something else. But he, which definitely, if that is something you're dealing with, I agree, there's a support. Talk to people, right? We're all, everyone is here, and there are groups here that you can talk to. But he said that our music had just helped him chill out a little bit. And he painted this painting while listening to our song, You and Me. And that blew me away. I still have that painting at home in my office. And all those little things, it just connects us, doesn't it? Because we're all connected. and we're connected through this wonderful art form. And we just appreciate you guys so much, and you need to know that, how special you are.
I don't even know what the question was.
Was there a particular moment or experience that made you, think when you met a fan and think, oh, this is all worth it, the hard work, and I love what I do.
Well,
I teach classes on
animation,